Welcome back to This Weird Twin Thing. I'm Tara.
And I'm Natasha.
We are going to talk to you about dating in LA.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. So she is the biggest expert for dating in LA that I've ever came across, and she happens to live in my household. So I asked her to come over to the living room today and discuss with me, how do you date people in LA, Tasha?
My dating life right now is actually going pretty well. I definitely have dialed into like what I'm looking for, and I can see it pretty quickly now when I go on dates. I can like spot the red flags, see the characteristics I actually do like, because I've gone on so many dates now that I feel like I already know how a person's gonna be.
She has literally made me just look at the whole dating concept very differently. Me and her are complete opposites in some ways, but then so alike in others. In the dating aspect, we are complete opposites. So she's helped me look at dating it differently. So I guess that's why we're here to talk about this topic today, because I think what you've learned can help a lot of people too. So kind of talk about what made you want to even try going on more dates in the first place.
Honestly, the reason I went on a ton of dates was because I'm pretty shy when it comes to like any kind of social interactions, and I hated that when I would go on dates, I would literally be like sweating and like can't even think of what to say, to the point of where I had no personality. So I'm just like this boring basic bitch every time I'm like on a date, and I was like, I need to change that. So I went on like 2 to 3 dates a week. I like jam-packed my schedule, and I just saw it as like growth in myself and just had fun with it and said, fuck it, maybe I keep cussing. And I just said, whatever, maybe I'll meet a new friend or learn something new, and just took it as like a growth experience.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, because a lot of times people think a date has to be so much pressure potentially, or it feels like such a big deal, like, oh, you're going on a date, ooh. But like, she really looked at it as like, I'm going to hang out with someone, I'm learning social skills, and I want to be more comfortable when I hang out with someone I don't know yet, so that way she can constantly be confident in new conversations with new people. So I thought that was a really cool thing that you did.
I think so too.
Do you think it's harder with social media to date, or do you think it's easier?
There's like perks, there's things that are great about social media and dating, and then there's things that kind of stink about it. But what I like about it is you have access to a lot of people that you normally probably wouldn't even talk to. And people out of your friend group, because a lot of people just end up dating people that are in their friend group, and that's like, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of cool to like expand and meet people maybe that have more in common with you than you would think.
But you have to also think about, that sounds easier than it is to most people, because now you've pushed yourself to that place to feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that will listen to you say that and be like, oh shit, well that sounds like a lot. It kind of puts like fear in their head right away, including me, so I'm assuming other people do too. You know, when you say like, oh, it's so exciting to be able to go out there and meet whoever I want and not date in my circles, I'm like, oh, it makes me so uncomfortable. It makes me so uncomfortable. Because it's just a comfort zone when people know each other and they introduce you. It's so much more chill. So the fact that you're like, you want to go out there and have new experiences, how do you feel like you got to that place?
That's why I like that I pushed myself to go on so many dates, because it made me comfortable talking to strangers. So like now when I go on dates, I'm like probably like cocky. Like if anything, I'm like, I've done this a million times. It's like anything you've done a million times, you just can do it without thinking, to the point of where now I'm like more my complete self on a date. I know every question they're gonna ask me. I have like go-to stories that are entertaining that I know this works. So it's like I've practiced
an expert, guys.
Expert. Date me. Just kidding.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's definitely pretty interesting. What tips do you have for dating online?
Tips for dating online? For like dating apps, the quickest I can, if I'm having good banter with someone and I can tell like, okay, they're entertaining, they're interesting in some way, the quickest thing I like to do is get them on the phone, like have a phone call.
See, she's so brave. The quickest thing I like to do is just get on a call.
Because I
Psychopath.
I don't want to waste my time.
Right now. What are you doing? Are you on your couch? Call me now.
I just
I'm
like
gonna be so uncomfortable.
no, because like, why would you want to like get ready for a date, take time out of your day
know,
to
it
like
makes
go
sense.
and meet them? If you get them on a phone call, you can find out real quick if there's like attraction in
Yeah, but there's
anyone.
also people that are probably nervous because
Oh,
they're not
for sure.
comfortable with just like hopping on a call.
Yeah, but you could kind of already see how the date's gonna be. If it's awkward as fuck on the phone, it's probably gonna be awkward at the date.
That's true. Like, I want to know how this date's gonna go.
But you can see, like, there's people that I've got on a phone call with, and that's how I know what type of person I'll be attracted to, because there's people I'll get on a phone call with, and they're just, like, so easy to talk to, and you can tell, like, oh, okay, like, if I actually hung out with you, we have a lot in common, you're easy to talk to, I'll probably have fun. Like, that's already good enough for me to get ready now.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good tactic, but I definitely see the opposite side of it too.
What?
No, that a lot of people could initially feel like maybe a little thrown off because they're not used to someone asking to like hop
Oh,
on
yeah.
a call, and
I've had
things
guys
like
where
that.
they feel uncomfortable like getting on a phone call. I'll give them like my number and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll have a phone call, and then they text me and I'm like, pussy. No, I'm just kidding.
They're like, oh, she makes me really nervous. Holy shit, she's really putting
So-
me out of my comfort zone.
Sometimes I'll just call them, honestly.
They're like, holy shit, she's calling me. What do I do? Oh yeah, just cooking some dinner. What about you? Trying to act like their life is fun.
But that's why I like to,
really
at least
throw
for
'em
me, a trick that I've learned coming from being a shy person, now when I call someone, I always think about how can I make them feel comfortable instead of being like, how can I feel comfortable in this setting? So I'll like ask them questions and be like, oh, like tell me, and actually be genuinely curious about their life. So instead of just being like, oh, okay, how could I make me look cool right now in this conversation? What can I say to get them to like me? I don't think like that. I think of like, how can I want to learn about you and figure out what makes you unique, what I like about you.
Sorry, I'm hot.
Yeah, you are.
Steaming with this conversation.
It's getting hot in here, all this dating advice.
What about with you get on a call with someone and right away you can tell they're just not someone you're gonna really vibe with? How do you handle that situation?
So the best thing, I'm just like a nice person. I never want to hurt anyone. So I just like, enjoy the conversation. I'll like get to know them. But then like towards the end, if like, they're like, okay, so I guess we'll set up something maybe to hang out or blah, blah, blah. That's where maybe I'm not doing it the best, but I just am like, yeah, like maybe in future, yeah, we can hang out. We'll set something up, but either way, like you have a great vibe and maybe I'll just compliment them in some way. So that when I leave, it's like, hey, it wasn't just you. I just like, maybe I'm not
Which
interested.
is nice. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I'm always the one that feels bad.
Yeah.
My poor guy.
Poor guy, but
Nice to them. Because that could affect someone's confidence. So it's
Yeah,
nice to
and they're like, I
make
never
someone
wanna
still, yeah. And if that was like something that they were nervous to do in the first place, you should always make someone.
yeah, I purposely
good
like
about
do
it.
compliment people. Like I'm like, hey, I love that you got on the phone. Like that is a lot of confidence to me. A lot of people wouldn't do that, and then they feel kind of like, oh, I am kind of cool. I am.
Yeah,
doing
which
great.
is
So
true
it's
because
like-
it's very, I think nowadays, which is so funny to say because if our parents saw this or any of our parents saw this, they'd be like getting on the phone call, like we're like, wow, you got on the phone. Like back in the day, that was like probably so normal, and nowadays it's like, wow, you're so confident you got on the phone.
Or people get weird out when someone calls them. They're like, why is this person calling me? And
Yeah.
I was like, that's great. That's cool.
I like it. I'm like, oh, whoa, he's confident.
yeah.
Definitely. I like it too, but it does make me feel a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, so it's cool. Especially if I've never met them in person. If I've met them in person, I'm like, oh, that's cool, they're calling. But if I've never met them in person, I could see how that would be a little unique. How do you approach someone that you feel like you're attracted to in person and be confident about it?
That's always fun. So like my favorite.
It's always fun.
No, I had
Weirdo.
to like, I've learned I enjoy putting myself out of my comfort zone because there's so much growth in it. Like every time I push myself to like talk someone or do something, I'm like, I just fucking grew. Like I like it now because I'm like, it just makes it every other time get easier and easier. So, one of the easiest ways, especially like as a woman hitting on a guy, is like that, like a no-no. They're like, oh, the guy has to come to you. So
and that's how we were raised, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm still that way. And she just went to the complete opposite side, but then we're so opposite, so it's a good thing because I still have those core values and you did, but you saw the value of the other side and you're showing it to me in a very like different way to look at it. So
yeah, there's still a way of doing it where it's like you're still a woman, you're still like having that power, and you're still letting the guy feel confident that like you're not doing all the work, but you're also making it easier for them to talk to you. So like for me, like the other day I saw a cute guy at the gym, and there's this bench that I needed to pull over, so it's kind of heavy, but it wasn't heavy enough that it was like I'm a pain in the ass. But I just asked him, I was like, hey, can you actually help me move that bench over? And then he felt manly. He's like, yeah, sure, let me. I was like so excited to like move the bench for me, and then he was like, yeah, and then I asked it, and I said thank you so much, and then I asked like a question like, oh, like how long have you been here, or like what kind, like you just ask like another follow-up, so then they're like, you get into a conversation. If they want to talk to you, they'll continue the conversation. If not, like, I didn't do anything wrong, I just asked them to move a bench. That's not rejection to me.
that's cool. I would never do that. I'd move that bench myself.
You drag it.
I would struggle to move the bench.
But yeah.
Or I wouldn't even move it and just leave that moment. If I thought someone was cute next to me, I'm like, I don't need the bench, okay?
But a little thing you can do that's super easy is just compliment someone's like outfit or shoes. Like shoes, guys, like especially if they're a shoe head, you are too. So you could just be like, hey, I love your shoes. What brand is that? And then they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then if they want to talk to you, which a lot of guys, you're a pretty girl, they'll get really excited that you just talked to them. They're like, I'm going to take this opportunity to keep the conversation going. Or they like freak out and they're like, oh yeah, they're Nike. And they walk away, and then you know, okay, it's fine. I tried. I put myself out there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I think a lot of it makes one of the things I always remind myself is that, and I always say to a lot of girls and guys, is like girls want the same thing. Maybe not all girls, but I think at the core of all girls, we all want the same thing as a guy wants. We all want a guy. Well, I'll say it the opposite way because it's easier for guys to understand. It's a more of a stereotype. Guys want a girl that maybe no one can really have, that they feel like they had to work to get, and they feel like they feel special when they're with them because it wasn't so easy. Girls want that exact same thing. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that, like guys don't realize that. And so at the same time, like I definitely am attracted to the guy that's not like all over the place, flirting with every single girl, hooked up with every single girl. Like I'm like... not attractive to me.
It doesn't make you feel special.
It doesn't make you feel special. It doesn't make me feel special being with you. So I always try to, that's a core thing that I think has been a stereotype for a while. Like a lot of guys maybe think that girls like the guy that's hooked up with everyone. I feel like that was when you were a lot younger, that was a cool thing. Like, but as you got older, you're like, I don't like that. You know? Maybe once you get a little bit more mature. But then I started to see, wow, I feel the same way. That's what I look for too in a guy. It's the same exact thing. So I do like to remind myself that guys and girls, we all do feel the same way. So it's not like they're not nervous too.
Yeah.
And so, but it is hard to remind yourself or get out of yourself to remember that even though you think he's good looking doesn't mean that he's not nervous.
Yeah.
You know? So It's interesting.
And the crazy thing that I love that I learned is that a lot of guys, they're like, oh, she's hot, she probably gets hit on all the time. But a lot of the prettiest girls don't get hit on as much as you would think, because a lot of guys all think that. So like a lot of pretty girls don't get hit on when they go out. I was like, it's kind of funny.
And it's funny because even hot guys, they're used to getting hit on too nowadays. Like there's a lot of guys that are like, oh, I'm not gonna do anything, or like feel insecure to even go up to a girl too. So then you guys are just both not talking.
And then we're both just not talking to each other. I met a really cute guy, and he was like, I was like, do you ever approach girls? I always love asking people. And then he was like, no, I've never approached a girl in my life. The only girls I ever talk to are the ones that talk to me. And I was like, your pool of people is so small.
That's how I am.
I was like, oh, so you only talk to girls that are like, hi. Like, that's sad.
Which is like not every girl is confident to go do that. So it's so interesting. Yeah, we're living in one fucked up world. No, I'm just kidding.
So how do you feel about guys in LA?
It depends. Because I don't like to, I'm always very big on not assuming everyone's the same way, because I feel like that's very small-minded to think. Like, when I hear girls say, like, every guy's a cheater, I'm like, it's really crazy to say. So I know that not everyone's the same, and it's the same thing with LA. It's like, no matter where you go, not everyone's the same, you know? But in our industry, what I see a lot, because obviously we're living in West Hollywood and there's like a lot of, you know, influencers and celebrities and people that are in the scene and doing successful. So, and that scene in LA, it's, I feel like it's obviously in a place of like everyone's kind of hooked up with everyone, and you like, even if you see a guy that's cute, you'll find out 2 seconds later that another girl that you know is like, yeah, I fucked him. So it's like there's just like also it's just hard in LA, I feel like, because everyone knows everyone's business, and so it just doesn't make it, I don't know. And then the guys that are successful now expect girls to walk up to them and hit on them because that's what they're used to because they're successful. And so I just think that like the whole dynamic of dating in LA has just been kind of skewed from traditionally how I was raised, where the guys are supposed to walk up to the girls, and if a guy wants you, they will come to you. And that's just definitely like my beliefs. So it's very hard to be any different. So yeah, I just think that a lot of guys have changed into that way of assuming girls should be walking up to them if they're interested, and it's an interesting dating pool.
But that's why, again, with like expanding your circle, that's why I love like meeting people who aren't even friends with my friends, because then I meet people that think completely different, or they have, like how you said, you're like, I feel like they've all been with each other. It's kind of nice to like, with dating apps today, I've met people that have like similar interests, or like I've met motivational speakers, which is cool, like people that I usually wouldn't, like they don't go out, they don't party, so it's hard to see these people out. So it's kind of cool that like there's an easy way for me to like talk to them and then expand my circle and maybe hang out with like mentally healthy people instead of just like the people that you see out partying, because that's like the only place to like meet people out.
But that's also a belief too, that it just because they're partying that they're not mentally healthy.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying how you're saying that they're...
Don't put that label on them.
Unless I would, that's why lately I've been planning different like activities with my friends. Instead of going out to just like drink, where you're putting yourself already in like a different kind of setting, I started going to like the shooting range, or I go bowling, or like different activities to where I meet people that are doing fun things. And then when you're actually just like out having fun, like I was playing pool, I met people and you're like competing with each other, and it's more like playful instead of like, oh, we're on a date, or like you're at a club and you can't even hear them. So, you know.
Yeah. So what do you think about the opposite? Like, how do you feel about girls dating in LA? Like, how do you look at that side of things?
So like for me, the one biggest thing that I always hear girls say in LA is that like guys are treating them poorly, or they feel like dating in LA is hard. But honestly, I just feel like it all comes down to like how you're treating yourself and like what you're attracted to. Because if I keep hearing like, oh, you keep dating guys that like treat you poorly, you're obviously attracted to some kind of quality in those type of guys that maybe you need to work on.
Yeah.
So that was like, I don't know, that's how I feel about like.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely like the main thing you hear from girls out here, is that guys are all, can I say fuck boys? Yeah, okay. That's definitely the main thing I hear about, like what girls tell me about guys in LA, is that every guy's like an F-boy, or like, you know, they're just players and they don't really care. They're hooking up with so many girls. And I think the other night I went out, and one of the girls I was with, she's like a big influencer too, and there was a guy standing with us and they were talking about dating in LA too, and she's like, yeah, every guy's just a dick out here and like they're all players. And then you could see that the guy was just like, okay, you know, because I'm like, you can't really say that every guy out here is like that. You could just be like, no, the ones I'm interested in are like that, which is very different.
Yeah.
But it definitely is unique in LA because obviously when you're gaining success, you get a lot more attention and a lot more people want to talk to you maybe. So maybe you have more girls going up to you or you have more guys going up to you because you're known to be someone now. And so if you're also wanting to date those types of people, they're also like used to people coming after them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have way more options.
Yeah.
What's the worst dating advice you've ever gotten?
The worst dating advice I ever got was play hard to get. The reason why I don't like it is because where it all came from, play hard to get was like people who actually had a life and things going on in their life. So that's why people are attracted to them, because they couldn't always hang out. They weren't always available. They didn't text you back right away. But the reason those things were in a healthy way, those are good, is if you actually are busy, you're working all day, so at the end of the day, maybe that's when you have more time to reply, or like you do have events that you do need to go to, you do have friends and activities that you do, so you're not always available. I think like pretending to be that way is like not healthy, but like actually living that life and actually going and pursuing things and like making your life great, so then when someone else just gets to join your greatness instead of like you need them to make it great.
So if you switch that and you would say, what is your best dating advice you've ever gotten?
Yeah, the best dating advice I got was making my life great without someone else. So like they get to just join in on like my happiness, but I'm already happy myself. And the way that I made myself happy is pursuing my goals every day, at least like something towards it, and exercising, like all the core things that make you happy, your relationships with other people, friends, going to events, like having a fulfilled life, and then they get to just join in. And then it's very attractive too, because when you meet people that have stuff going on, you're like, wow, I feel like living with you, being a part of your life is exciting, and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for coming to this house.
Thank you for having
and
me.
having this conversation with me. I hope I'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
You really opened my mind to the whole dating experience.
You're the room next to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll see you soon. All right. Goodbye. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in. DM us.